it's funny how failures define people, and I would like to share another story along with what Akshay shared. Like he said, Akshay got rejected in his first interview to join ISEC. There are many stories like these wherein people apply for organizing committees of events. Similarly, even I got rejected in a lot of places, and right now I'm standing in front of you so confident and so happy, also privileged to be part of ISEC, and also the impact that we've created, not just by being the students of various colleges, but also by interacting with the corporate world, interacting with the social impact crowd across the globe. And to move on now, we will talk about the impact that ISEC has created, and we'll move on into a segment called the Impact Talks. And we have 4 gentlemen who will talk about the various kind of impact that ISEC creates, and through ISEC, the impact that they are creating today. To call upon the first speaker, Mr. Vikas Chawla, co-founder of India's leading digital market agency, Social Beat, and with absolute honor, he's an ISEC alumni and also a Loyola graduate, a college where I've gotten my degree from, management graduate from London School of Economics. And without further ado, I'd give the stage to you, sir. Thanks a lot for being here.
Thanks so much for that. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today to celebrate 30 years of ISEC for Chennai. And thanks so much for having me over here. It's an absolute pleasure. So just going to speak for about 10 minutes, and I'm going to break it up into 2 parts. First, I'm going to talk about my ISEC experience itself and how it's actually come a full circle. So my first tryst with ISEC was in 2002 when I started my college. And similar to what Akshay and the others were saying, I also got rejected the first time I applied to ISEC. Not many people know that, but I did get rejected the first time I got into ISEC. But I said, let me try again next time, and I did. And life has never been the same. I was in ISEC for about a little less than 3 years, and it was an amazing experience. It's right from taking on leadership positions, to actually leading a team, to actually creating an impact in the society, to actually meeting interesting people. And I'll talk a little bit about the impact in the second part. But, the 3 years of my college, I actually felt so energized, and I did so much during those 3 years that I was there, because you're actually doing something real. It's not like a Rotary Club or a Rotaract Club where, yes, you are creating an impact, but here you're dealing with real people. You're getting people from some other country to actually come down here, to live here, and you're actually responsible for that experience. And that's, someone's life, that's someone's experience, and you're actually delivering that experience to the interns, and that really changes the way it is. So I was in ISEC for 3 years. I had a few leadership positions, and I moved out of ISEC to take on my first corporate role. And I then took a sabbatical from my corporate role to actually go on my ISEC internship. So I went to Germany for an internship with Tata Interactive, which was, they'd actually acquired a German company, and I was working with them as an intern. And then I came back again to India to continue working over here. And then I studied in the UK. And when I was studying in the UK, again, I connected back to ISEC. So I actually, took part in the team over there. We actually had a whole, trainee committee team where we actually took care of the interns and the trainees. We had a entire team that we set up together, and we're actually, contributing back over there as well. Came back again, worked again for a bit, and then in 2012, I started my own company along with my partner. So 2 of us started the company in 2012, and last year, actually earlier this year, we had our first ISEC intern. And it was such a privilege to come the whole circle where you were in ISEC 10 years ago, and this year we had our own ISEC intern. It was an absolute privilege to have her over here with us. She was from Ukraine, and she spent about 5 months with us at our company. So I think it's been an amazing experience, and I would say, life will never be the same if I wasn't in ISEC, and I would echo what Akshay was saying earlier. We wouldn't imagine what life would be if ISEC wasn't there. Right, so that was a backdrop of what I did in ISEC. So I'm going to talk a bit about what was the impact it did for me, right? What did it do for me? I think it did two broad things for me. One was it made me a true leader in the real sense, and I'll explain why that is. And the second piece is it made me a global leader. So coming to the first point, being a leader. So when you're in college, I took up a lot of positions. I was in road track club. We did a lot of things. But a leadership position in ISEC was very different. I was leading a team of 8 people, and there were real issues there, right? You're leading a team of 8 people who are equally ambitious, who are equally, go-getters, and each of them have their own way of dealing with things. But you're dealing with these 8, 10 people, and I think today teams in ISEC are even much larger, and you're actually dealing with them and trying to create an impact with that team. So it actually is a lot more real than most other organizations. And the beauty is, every year the team changes. So you actually have to do what we've been talking about in terms of succession planning. Companies still struggle with it. But ISEC has been doing it for decades. And every year you have a new team that comes on board. And that kind of leadership and that kind of exposure to that leadership is immensely useful when you're in college. And you're just 20 years old, you're 19 years old, and you're being told to actually do succession planning because there's a new team that's going to take on, and Akshay is going to be moving out, and there's a new team that's going to be coming on. So it's immensely powerful to be able to be exposed to that kind of experience as well. And leadership in this sense is not just the team, right? You're dealing with real issues, you're dealing with real money, you're dealing with real people. So you are dealing with, human resource departments of various companies. You are dealing with the lives of these interns. You're dealing with money. Back then, when I'm talking about 2002, 2003, our balance sheet was close to 10 lakhs. And for a student like me, at that point, dealing with 10 lakhs, it was a lot of money. And today, I think their balance sheets are much, much larger. They're dealing with funds that they're raising. They're dealing with money that the corporates are giving. And that kind of, financial and ethical leadership that it gives you when you're managing these kind of funds is immense. And I think it also shows you what you can do with even a little bit of money, right? Being frugal, being able to actually save money and do something impactful. I think a lot of it comes from being able to do it early on in your life, and ISEC actually gives you that kind of an exposure. I think I'll also talk a little bit about the kind of events that ISEC does, right? And the largest event that ISEC does is what is called the International Congress, where you have 700, 800 people from 100 countries that come down. And imagine if you're actually even a small part of organizing an event like that. 700 people, 100 countries. Imagine the scale, imagine the logistics, imagine being able to entice 700 people for a week in a venue and being able to do interesting things which will entice them to stay there. It's amazing and how that can work. And I think many of the team members here have been part of IC's international congresses, and it actually opens up a whole new world for you. And I think the last bit I would talk about in terms of leadership is ISEC also shows you how you can actually network and connect with the right people to get things done. And ISEC makes you realize this very, very early on. So, be it the board of advisors, be it dealing with the corporates, being it networking to get new clients on board. You do all this at the age of 19. And that's immensely, it changes your life because you start doing this only when you're 21, 22, when you're in a sales job or a business development job. But here you start doing it so much early on that it gives you an edge when you actually move on and move out of college and move out of whatever you're studying. And to me personally, the kind of experience it gave me in convincing people in terms of networking with people, in finding the right connections and getting things done, that's really made a big difference to whatever I have done. In fact, I got my first job through one of the ISEC clients that I had. So, through that client, I was able to actually get my first job after college. And that's, not everyone can say that I got my job from college because of my contacts or because of my connections. And that's what makes the difference in the kind of confidence that you can get when you're out there. Believe it or not, I couldn't speak like this 10 years ago because didn't have the confidence. But today, and because of the experiences you've had, and I think every ISECer in the room will be able to do this. Anyone, any ISECer in the room today can come up and speak, because that's the kind of experience you go through when you're here. You're out there, you're being pushed out there to actually, take the leadership role, be out there, speak to people, and get things done, right? So I think overall, it makes you a better leader and a true leader where you have all the values in place. And that's what makes the difference, and that's what made the difference for me as well. So the second piece, right, makes you a global leader. And this is, I remember way back in 2002, I got my first ISEC intern, and the intern came and stayed in my house. And this is 2002, I'm 19 years old, I've got this American who's come from somewhere, and he's staying in my house. You can imagine my parents' plight, right? And they didn't have a choice, I made them do it. But imagine what it is today. I mean, that's part of the experience that makes not just you, but the entire family, the entire ecosystem more global, because you deal with these people on an everyday basis. And we're going to have someone, I think Frederick is going to speak to us later, and he is one of those interns, but we create thousands of these experiences across the globe, and each of them touch so many other people across the society that they live in. And that's what makes you global. And when we had our intern earlier this year, her name was Marina, she was from Ukraine, I think it put a lot of vibrancy into the organization itself and brings in a lot of new ideas. We are a 30-member team now, and that one person from Ukraine can bring in so many different ideas, because she's come from a very different culture, she's come from a very different upbringing. She has very, very different ideas from the rest of the team. And so it becomes global, not just for ISECers, but even for the companies that they work for, even for the people that they connect with, even the apartment building they live in. The entire ecosystem becomes more global. And obviously, ISECers in the process become global in the way they think, in the way they behave, in the way they respect the diversity of people around, of different countries or different cultures. And that's definitely been very, very important to me to have been able to learn that very early on, to be able to respect diversity, to be able to respect people from other cultures. And that's definitely, and frankly, today I can travel anywhere across Europe or even across the world, and I'll have ISEC friends, because we made friends for life when you're here. Because of the kind of experiences you have, they're so intense, you're here for so long, you're an ISEC for life. If you've been an ISEC for at least a year, in my opinion, you're an ISEC for life. You can't, it's not something that you can get away with. It's part of how you are, it's a part of way of life, and ISEC is so important to all of our lives, and I do see a lot of alumni around here, and I think they would all echo what I say, that you are an ISEC for life, and all these experiences make us that. And I'm proud to be an ISECer, and I'm proud to be part of this event, and I thank Akshay and the rest of the team for having me over. I think ISEC is going to be here for many, many years, for many, many decades, activating leadership, and I'm so glad to be part of this event. So thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Vikas, sir, for that wonderful speech. A point that Sir had mentioned about global leaders. So there's this program that we run throughout ISEC network known as Global Leaders. And you might wonder what it is, but it is nothing but what your kids, your daughters and sons are doing every day. So there are two parts of Global Leaders program. One is the team member program, and one is the team leader program. So people who handle projects, they are called the team leaders, and the people who work under a team, they're known as the team members. So ISEC gives this opportunity to people from, students from various colleges to be part of ISEC through the Global Leaders program.